What I'm going to do today is hopefully get the flywheel off of this thing. And in order to do that, I got to take the cover off, and I'm going to check out the points on the deal there and just check and see if they're rusty, which they probably are. Get this cover off and we'll be back in a bit. Okay, so I got the top cover off, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick this thing over here. So that's off. Now I just got to pull this thing off. So there's a trick to go about getting this thing off. I honestly don't know how well it's going to work, seeing as how this is the first time I've actually pulled one of these things off, or had to anyways. Don't worry guys, before I reassemble this thing, it's going to be nice and clean. Alright, so I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this. I'm going to try my best to not really get in the way too much. But this is really how you got to pull these things off. I don't have any sort of special tool to do this, so it's kind of a pain. So you just go like that, and it eventually just screws right off. So now I just got to get a pry bar, more than likely, to pull off the flywheel. Well, so I did end up getting it off. I actually used a ball joint separator. What I did was I kind of stuck it in there at an angle, got it right behind it, then whacked this in with a hammer, and loosened it right up and off. Flywheel key's still in there, don't want to lose that. So I'm just going to set this thing up here. Actually, I'll put it out of the way so I really don't lose that little key. Now, as you guys can see, the outer part here actually looks surprisingly clean. I thought there was going to be a lot of debris stuck in between here. It doesn't really appear that there is. Move this over here for you guys. Kind of see what I'm doing a little bit better, but as I said, it looks pretty clean. Let's go ahead and pull these two small bolts out, pull the cover off. Looks like there is some corrosion right there on the points. And you can see that there's a decent little bit of corrosion there. So what I'm going to do is take some fine sandpaper and just sand that off a little bit. I'm also going to try and do my best here to kind of clean out some of the crud with a brass wire brush. So we'll see what we got here. Everything else looks clean. It really looks like this thing has been. It really looks like somebody's been into this before. I say that because this bracket here is a little worn. It shows its age, much like the rest of the motor does. But all these components in here look new. The spring looks new. The points, I mean, look new for what they are. I don't know. It looks to me like somebody's been into this thing before and tried to fix it, or did fix it, and then the owner just left it outside. All right, so I just went ahead and cleaned it both up a little bit. I did remove the condenser. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put the bracket back over the condenser and kind of just put it back in place, but I have to set it to the correct gap. Now, from what I've been told, it's supposed to be set to 20,000, so I got a feeler gauge right here. Go ahead and kind of put it in place here. Kind of get it in the right spot, more or less. And I'll be putting that thing back down there. Not too tight, not too firm. So now it's gapped correctly. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw the flywheel back on this and show you guys how I go about testing it. Alright, so after a little bit of fighting, she's finally sparking. I don't think you guys can really make that out too well on the camera. Maybe you can if you're watching in HD. But she's definitely sparking now. So I guess you were right, Ghetto Hillbilly 1. Just cleaned off the points and it's working. So now all I got to do is just put this little bastard back together. And of course, the next project with this thing is to pull the carb off, pull the gas tank off, and give that a good thorough cleaning. So it's probably not going to be today that I get this thing running, but well, I guess we'll have to see about that. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it all back together, at least, you know, this whole part here, and you know, get the flywheel put back in and put back in place and everything, and then we'll see what happens after that. And once again, Ghetto, I was having some trouble with this little shaft here, and you suggested to keep sanding it. I did that, and finally, she goes on nice and smoothly. I kind of had a feeling that's what I was going to have to do. It really doesn't surprise me. But anyways, now I just got to put the ball bearings back into this thing and basically go from there. Well, because once I get the ball bearings put back in, I can put the screen back on, you know, that cap back on before I put the screen on, of course. And hopefully get onto the gas tank and carburetor. But when I oiled this thing, I used some automatic transmission fluid. You're supposed to use that or like a sewing machine oil or something, whatever is a very light oil. You're not supposed to use normal motor oil, at least so I've been told. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble this, put the ball bearings back in, and so now what I'm doing is getting ready to pull off the carburetor and the gas tank. And in order to do that, I have to take these two bolts out to disconnect a couple more linkages and disconnect the bottom part for the gas tank. These bottom bolts are always kind of difficult to get to on these, but I'm going to go ahead and start disconnecting all these linkages. Oh, I got the carburetor undone. I can tell somebody's been into this thing before because there's supposed to be a bolt over here that's not there. And it's definitely appearing like somebody's tried to fix this or done some service to it, and that's really all that became of anything. I'm trying my hardest here not to break anything more on this. One of these linkages just, I was actuating the choke right here and it just fell apart right there. Don't know why that happened. I didn't put hardly any stress or strain on it. It just decided to give up the ghost. So I'm starting to see why this motor was thrown in the trash. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the gas tank now. Move the carburetor around just a little bit more. Nothing but corrosion came off of that spout there. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the carburetor if I can. Okay, so there you have it. Carburetor is now off. Eesh, that does not look good. Oh, gee. Wow, look at that. Look at the base of it. I will be very surprised if I'm able to save this thing. I have never seen a carburetor that this gummed up before. Let's look at the gas tank. Oh boy, that's not looking good either. There's a ton of debris in here. You guys can probably just barely make that out. But there is all sorts of nasty, nasty stuff in this gas tank. Yeah, it's going to take some deep cleaning to bring this gas tank back, that's for sure. But the important thing is this motor has spark now. So in the event that I either want to rebuild this thing, this carburetor, I mean, the last time I rebuilt a carburetor did not look nearly as bad as this thing is. All of the holes in here are extremely plugged up. You know, this just might be too far gone for me to do anything with. But I'll have to diagnose that.